Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the 2000 Project, where me and Russell watch as many movies from the year 2000 as we can possibly find. Russell, I feel like I just saw you. How are you?
Good. Yeah. In fact, you did just see me because we did cover the first Mission Impossible yesterday for your Mission Impossible series. So yes, you definitely did see me yesterday, and it's crazy that we will review another Brian De Palma film. So what are the odds of that?
In a bit of a twist of fate, I actually am ahead of the curve on something because the Mission Impossible review is edited. It's not been uploaded yet, but that's what I will start on tonight. That'll be dropping Saturday. So as you're hearing or watching this, the road to Mission Impossible Final Reckoning begins on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. But like Russell alluded to, we're going to be covering another Brian De Palma film, a sequel to a beloved Disney film, and a film from Roman Polanski. Which, yeah, that's that's a loaded one if there ever is one, but we'll get to that. But if you're listening on Spotify, we'd appreciate a high rating of 5. If you're watching the YouTube version, leave a like, subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that as well. Without any further ado, let us dive in. And starting things off with, and I had to do a bit of a pause because I'm like, oh, this is the sequel to a Goofy movie. I'm like, you've never seen the Goofy movie. So
No, man, I I didn't see either one of them. So like, yeah, truth be told, so this one obviously came out in 2000. I was like 16, 17. So I kind of was out of like I wouldn't say I was out of the cartoon phase because I had literally the year before that had been opening night for Doug's first movie because I love Doug. But yeah, so this one was just one I just didn't catch, and I never saw the Goofy movie that everybody is like beloved.
well, the movie we're talking about and what we're going to be reviewing up first is an extremely goofy movie.
Is Goofy,
Dad, you're scaring people.
an extremely goofy movie.
This was released straight to video. It was directed by Douglas McCarthy, who literally only has 2 other credits, and they're both Looney Tunes shorts. One of which is called Marvin the Martian in the Third Dimension, and the other one is called Carrot Blanca, which is a retelling of Casablanca with the Looney Tunes. I need
Nice.
to find this and I need to watch this.
That sounds
That is-
intriguing.
That sounds amazing, more
Yeah,
like.
for
And
sure.
this is the sequel to a Goofy movie, which is one of those movies where you're like, this has no right to be this good, and it turns out to be outstanding. And it picks up Goofy and Max. Max is on his way to college, and Goofy is taking it about as well as you might expect. He being Goofy, pronouns pal, he ends up losing his job, and out of desperation moves to college with his son. So back to school without Rodney Dangerfield, more like.
It's
But
the vibes I got.
I'm not gonna lie though, it's not as good as a Goofy movie, but I still got a kick out of this one.
Yeah, no, I did too. Kind of what you said. Yeah, I did get the Rodney Dangerfield vibes. Obviously, a lot tamer, a lot tamer. But there's heart to it, and I like appreciate that. Obviously, having a kid kind of opens your eyes a little bit more to that kind of stuff because you do see that kind of like just like the teddy bear thing. Like my daughter still takes like her brown bear that she has, who she's had since she was little. So that's kind of sentimental. Just like when Max leaves his bear there, and he kind of like tears up, and he kind of wants to bring, it's just it's cute. It definitely plays on the feels, but I think it's effective enough. And the like the 75-minute runtime goes by rather quickly, and you get animated Polly Shore. So.
I'm sure for some that is a very big highlight. But the thing that I love the most about a Goofy movie, and it translates somewhat to an extremely Goofy movie, is that Goofy is such a character that he's literally named Goofy.
Yeah.
This could have so easily been turned into the joke character, and for a certain extent it is. However, it's more or less in the Goofy movie and not here, but they give Goofy stuff to do. They make him a 3-dimensional character. I love that, and I love the spirit of that. Goofy is one of the more underrated original Disney characters. His shorts are just wild if you can hunt any of them down. Like he's playing football, like he's playing hockey, he gets angry, like he's a chain smoker in a couple of them. It's nuts. There's one where he tries to stop drinking alcohol, and I'm just like, this is the 40s. They
Yeah.
got away with this in the 40s, but I digress. Point is, Goofy movie and an extremely goofy movie have no right being this serious. But I'm low-key glad that they are this serious. And a goofy movie way clears an extremely goofy movie. It's like here and here. With that being said, though, this movie is still fun. It's a heartwarming movie. It's funnier than I was anticipating. And I was not excited for the whole always going to college, like the back to school analogy is apt there, but that's one of my favorite comedies, so
Oh yeah.
there is that.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I did too. Like I said, I mean, it definitely it still gives Goofy a chance to be a three-dimensional character. Obviously, you have Max growing up, and just that hard fact of reality setting in for Goofy, like really just can't grasp the fact that his kid's grown up already. You know what I mean? Time goes by rather quickly, and they still make it fun though with having them kind of compete back and forth with the different fraternities. And I thought that was kind of cool. It was effective enough. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine movie.
Russell, you've seen Monsters University, right?
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of the battle between Uzma Kappa and the bully faction. The I can't remember their name right now, but like it kind of reminded me of that with the two factions going at it.
Yeah, I mean, and then it was funny because there was like one time, like at the bar, I swear it felt like West Side Story. Like
Yeah.
I did that. I totally got the vibe on that. It's just I don't know. It was just a fun animated film that I really didn't think that kind of what you said, and me not even having a horse in a race because I didn't see the Goofy movie. I was kind of thinking, yeah, how are they going to like do this? But it's like I said, it's still you didn't have to see a Goofy movie in order to follow this one, which I appreciated. But I had fun with it. I thought it was there's quite a few funny scenes in the movie.
The only real fault here is that it's not the first movie, which the first movie, and I keep bringing up the first movie, but I mean I can't really help it. But that movie is so memorable because you got Powerline and you got like these deep scenes where Max is caught in a lie and he has the chance to fess up and he doesn't, and Goofy knows he's lying and he stuck his neck out for him in front of Pete's just awful, but that's a subject for another time.
Yeah, he's not the greatest person to get life advice from.
No, but they have that fight in the Grand Canyon, and that's just a fantastic little scene right there. So it's diminishing returns off the bat. But with that being said, though, I'm going to give this a good rating, but a high good rating.
Yeah.
Didn't expect much from this. Turned out I liked it more than I was expecting. It's a solid base hit, and I think I can put the period at the end of the sentence with that by just saying that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely it's a watchable film for sure, and I think you do get something out of it. And the other thing I appreciated about it, I should say, is the fact that they give Goofy a love interest. I thought that was kind of cool, and they actually have chemistry, so I thought that was actually really cool. Yeah.
Funny, in this project, it's like Disney is 2 for 2 with the straight to video stuff. We got the Tigger movie earlier this year, and now this, and they were both good. So
yeah.
Solid start there, but let's keep going hard left in terms of content and tone, and let's go to that Brian De Palma film we were alluding to, Mission to Mars. This was, like I said, directed by Brian De Palma. Chances are you know who he is. Directed Scarface, Carrie, Mission Impossible. I've already talked about that. Untouchables, Phantom of the Paradise, Dressed to Kill, the list goes on and on. Starred Gary Sinise, Don Cheadle, Tim Robbins, among others, and it is based on the ride Mission to Mars that was at Disney for a very long time. Yes, this is a Disney ride movie. They didn't start with Pirates of the Caribbean. There were a couple sprinkled in the 90s and the 2000s leading up to Pirates of the Caribbean. There's even a Tower of Terror movie. I haven't seen it, but I know it exists.
I think I bought it. I think I did buy it just to have it. Yeah.
I want to watch it because I'm legit curious, because it has nothing to do with the Twilight Zone from what I recall, but it's still called Tower of Terror. I'm like, what even is this?
Like I said, I think I bought it on DVD just because, and I obviously haven't watched it because I would have said something about it. But yeah, and then obviously you have the Brad Bird directed Tomorrowland. It's absolutely awful. God, that was so bad.
Terrible.
Bad.
But Mission to Mars tells the story of a mission to Mars. I know, but a mission to Mars. The movie takes place in the year 2020. Lol. That's all I had to say.
It's already, COVID year. That's a good time to go to Mars, you know?
There's even Gary Sinise driving what is pretty much a Cybertruck nowadays, but it's created by Isuzu. And like when I saw that, I'm like, well, you better not park that in the wrong place or else that thing's going to get keyed. But I digress. Back to the plot, though. They're on their way to Mars, and the forward operating ship ends up losing contact with the main ship, so it's up to the main crew, played by Gary Sinise, Tim Robbins, and Connie Nielsen, to figure out what all went down. So I was texting you while I was watching this, and the best way I can describe this movie is Brian De Palma directs 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I'm not trying to dog on De Palma. He did a very fine job with this one. It's watchable, but the influences definitely leap off the screen if you're looking for them. That's all I'll say.
But I can also kind of defend it and say that, like, there's other films that kind of like borrowed from it. I feel like Arrival. Like there's like other things that you could have said that like sci-fi type films that borrowed from this type of film. You know what I mean? That one scene that I was talking to you about when they were playing Van Halen, that shot is legit like 2001: A Space Odyssey. That Ferris wheel shot you were talking about that we were saying.
Where Dave is running and
doing
things.
It's the
where
first
Dave
thing
is running.
The first thing I thought of when I saw that was an instant callback to 2001. Just the shot. And I don't know if it was maybe De Palma giving like, you know, kudos to, you know, I don't know. Who knows? It was one of those ones though. I saw like, it was like a Kubrick shout out, you know what I mean? But I thought the movie was fine enough. I enjoyed it. You know, I did. And I just, I liked it more than I thought I was going to. But then I also told you there was total vibes of The Martian. Again, a movie that, you know, you could say kind of borrowed a little bit from this, that came out like, 15 years after, like, what was it, 2015, 2016-ish, that Martian came out right around the time, 2015, yes. 2015, yeah. So, I mean, I could sit there and say that I had vibes of that when I was, like, obviously later on when you find out that, you know, what's been happening on the planet has shades of The Martian in it too. But there's definitely a lot of sci-fi stuff that, you know, I see that he could have taken from and also kind of helped, you know, give back to what would come back in cinema like 15, 20 years down the road.
One more influence I'll name before we move on is Contact. There's definitely 100% by Robert Zemeckis vibes going on throughout. And it's not one thing. One thing I will say about this movie is that if De Palma pulls from anything, he only pulls from really good sci-fi stuff. And it eventually just becomes a melting pot to where it pretty much becomes his own thing, kind of the trend. Like, where people being like, oh, he just riffs on Hitchcock. I'm like, of all the people who riff on, like, Hitchcock's not a bad influence, but that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
This cast is loaded. Like, this is the second Gary Sinise movie we've covered for this project. We covered Reindeer Games a few weeks ago. And here, he's the beating heart of the movie. Like, Gary Sinise is subtly pretty dang good in this. And he gets the most interesting plot stuff going on. I won't spoil what happens, but let's just say he's very important to what all De Palma's trying to say.
And I'll piggyback. And for the time that Robbins is obviously in the film, I still think Robbins is really solid in this as well. Connie Nielsen's fantastic. A woman that you talk about that never ages. She's 60 now, obviously 40 when she filmed that. She looked absolutely tremendous. And Don Cheadle is really good. It's a solid cast, man. It really, really is, from top to bottom. But like you said, obviously Sinise is the heartbeat of this film.
One more thing that I will note before we do move on is that this movie is really going to be, this movie has a twist to where it's either going to make or break the movie for you. Shyamalan does it in a lot of his movies, and they're like I'll throw Barbarian in there as well. But there is a twist in this movie that you're either going to love or going to hate, and it's like no in between. I kind of dug it. Maybe it's because I'm a big sci-fi fan, but I liked it, and I think largely it works, and I think it succeeds.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, this was a pleasant surprise. And just to talk real quick about the box office of this film, I didn't even realize, I had heard the about the movie before, but I didn't know really box office wise what it did. And it's actually kind of crazy that this movie had over $100 million budget, and it brought in 110 worldwide. I mean, it probably just broke even, or maybe probably lost a little bit of money because I'm sure they paid for marketing in that too.
Yeah,
or it was marketing was part of the budget. But I was kind of surprised because that's actually pretty good numbers for a solid PG sci-fi movie. You know what I mean? This movie wasn't PG-13; it was PG. So it is kind of crazy that movie put up those types of numbers. So I think that was kind of pretty impressive, especially for the time.
For me personally, I'm going to give this a great rating, and it seems a bit generous, but like I said, there's a lot of good stuff in here. Performances are all solid. The movie still looks pretty good. There's some questionable CGI moments, but it's the year 2000. You got to give them a little bit of leeway. They were working with what they had. And so I thought a lot of it did work. Some wonky stuff, but it can be forgiven. But really, it's going to come down to the twist and how you handle it. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
However, let's talk about the final film we're doing this time around. And, boy, this called The Ninth Gate.
To witness.
So this was directed by Roman Polanski, a garbage human being. And it starred Johnny Depp, Frank Langella, Lena Olin, among others. And it tells the story of a man named Dean Corso, played by Johnny Depp, who is a rare book collector and seller. One of his clients, played by Frank Langella, tells him that he knows the location of the books that lead to the gates of hell. And the movie takes its sweet time trying to find where exactly these books are. And like I said at the top, Roman Polanski is a garbage human being, and I don't think I need to sugarcoat it any further. Just Google it if your blood hasn't curdled lately. But even if Roman Polanski were an angel, it doesn't change one very undisputed fact. This movie's boring as shit. And like make no mistake.
Yeah.
I was rooting for this one so much because I like Johnny Depp. I love Frank Langella. And it's a very interesting premise. I'm sorry about your ears.
No, you're good. No, I honestly had an itch. It wasn't, no.
But I was so rooting for this one to work, and it just disappointed.
Like I told you, I think I was a little bit more forgiving than you. I was on board for a while up until the ending of it, and then I'm just like, what, that's it. So I guess for our audience, a little bit of background. Langella has one of three books that are the, pathway to the quote unquote ninth gate. So he has one, he knows of two other ones, and he pretty much sends out Johnny Depp on a wild goose chase to find these two other books. And I thought that was kind of cool. We're getting into the Gumshoe-esque type, almost like Chinatown vibes, detective work type of stuff. You know what I mean? I just feel like this movie does drag its feet. The 2 hour and 15-minute runtime is long. It's definitely a pain.
Too
especially with the payoff, you're just like, and I had to send you a picture of that mission to Mars because that would have been a perfect way to end the film. just cut it out right there, be done with it, right? No, like this movie, solid performance from Depp though. I thought he gave a really great performance. Langella can just play anything. Obviously Frank Langella, love him and as Skeletor, Masters of the Universe. I'll still go to bat for that movie. I love it. It's a guilty pleasure from the 80s, man. And it's just something that I've always gone back to watch because it just reminds me of my childhood. So I'll go to bat for it. As bad as that movie is, I still enjoy it. So whatever. But no, I thought it was solid. And that female, the one that the girl in the movie that's just known as the woman or the girl, I think she was really good too. But it was really weird because there's a couple scenes where you see something out of the ordinary that she does, and you're like, well, wait a minute. Like you kind of understand where we're going with this. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. I don't know. I feel like we could have, again, I feel like this is like some of the things that we always say, but like they could have tightened this up with like maybe an hour and 50-minute runtime. We could have shaved like 20 minutes off of this, 25 minutes off of this. Kind of what you said when we were talking about it. There is that, oh, he's being chased again. He's being chased again. Oh, somebody's dead. He's being chased again. Like it's a lot of the repetitive stuff that's going on. I like the story. I just wish we would have had a better payoff. I think that would have been really, there's so much we could have done with this, that like the what if factors. And a little fun fact, this movie, obviously, surprise, surprise, not filmed in the United States.
That does not surprise me in this light.
Because he can't. But it was funny because that opening shot, I don't know how they got it because it's New York. Yeah. I read something about how they took it or how they filmed it or whatever. But yeah, because I was confused for a second too. I'm like this guy was not in the United States.
Yeah, and like I said, and I feel like I'm chewing my food twice here, but I was rooting for this one.
Yeah.
But like the third time, the same like group of people are after Depp. I'm just like, guys, like, dude, I turned into T-Pain. Like, do something else.
Yeah,
do something else, and they did nothing else.
The scene that really makes me scratch my head is when he's coming out of the mansion from the other guy he just saw, and the motorcycle. Or the one car, or was it the car or the motorcycle first?
It was the
car.
First.
It was the car that was going to hit him. And then he just stops. The motorcycle's there. It's like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? Like, why did we even? And then we just drive away. And it's just like, God, man. It's like you kind of know what's going on. You kind of have a feeling like who's in on it. You kind of have an idea more than halfway through the film of kind of where you think it's going to go, or like who's responsible for doing this kind of stuff. You kind of have an idea on that. That's not a surprise because I don't think I really was surprised too much about it when it happened. You know what I mean? But the payoff just isn't there for you to close out the film. You know what I mean? It's just I wanted more.
Yeah, and I have nothing left to say. This movie's pretty forgettable. It's not unwatchable. It's not terrible. I dare risk saying it's bad. It's not bad. It's very it's very disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate too because the thing that I'm looking forward to doing with 2000 and 2001 and 2 and the like is seeing what Johnny Depp is going to be doing, because in 2003 we get Pirates.
Oh yeah.
However, it's going to be interesting to see the lead up to Pirates and seeing what he ends up doing, because I'm just fascinated. Like, Sylvester Stallone was an actor before Rocky, but he had starred in like porn. Like, yes, he did. And he was also in a couple of Roger Corman produced movies, and then he made it big with Rocky. So it's interesting to see what actors get up to before like their big break. I'm fascinated by stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Depp in the lead up to not his big break, because he was somewhat big in the 90s. He had success, but like the thing that everybody knows him for.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd argue, like, I don't know, I loved him in Nightmare on Elm Street in '84. There's movies in the '90s that are solid. Donnie Brasco, Nick of
Yeah.
Time.
Mhm.
There's some solid films that he was in the '90s. Like, you knew this guy was going to be somewhere, and I think 2000s is where we hit the pinnacle of he was very trying everything, and that's the thing that you really kind of have to give a hats off to, because in 2000s there was nobody bigger in Hollywood. Like, you're gonna have your Finding Neverlands, you're gonna have your Pirates of the Caribbean, you're gonna have your, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, how awful that movie was, but he still was experimenting with roles like The Libertine, other films that, like, he just, all sorts of different films that dabbled in, and he wasn't afraid to take different roles. You even have Public Enemies, like to close out the decade. So, like, he's definitely huge in the 2000s. And yeah, like you said, you can kind of see where he'll get bigger and bigger. Like, because I think Secret Window's right after Pirates, and I thought Secret Window was decent enough. I liked it okay, based on a Stephen King work. But yeah, I mean, like you said, looking forward to tackling more of his filmography, obviously, as we get through the decade. But definitely, you can start to see where he's going to hit his stride, and then he hits it in the mid 2000s, and he's on a tear.
Well, I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of these movies? Let us know in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. And the year 2000 is going to get. We're going to be getting into some heavy hitters when we return to this year. Where the next three we're covering are going to be only the movie that won the Oscar for Best Picture, Aaron Brockovich, Final Destination, the original, talk about topical, and then the movie I know literally nothing about, but it stars Chow Yun-fat. It's called Romeo Must Die. So
I know Leah's in that, yeah.
Eclectic for sure, but never boring on the 2000 project. But Russell, it's a privilege to do this with you every Friday. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find us Notorious by Chance. Like I said, you guys are going to watch this Saturday, so it doesn't really matter. I haven't said it yet, right? We just had our episode on Prince of Egypt. Looking forward to that. And then we go back to putting polls up. So we have a lot of ideas coming down the pike there, so that should be exciting. You guys can also find us Notorious by Chance on YouTube and on X and TikTok, which I'm trying to get better at NBC Podcast. And just a little quick clarification: Aaron Brockovich did not win Best Picture that year. That was Gladiator. Aaron Brockovich did garnish though Julia Roberts an Oscar. So you were right ballpark. But
that's why I suck at Oscars trivia, folks. That's why I'm terrible at that.
You're good. That's why you have me on the show to kind of, like, we try to balance it out.
I could have sworn I thought Aaron Brockovich won. I mean, it seems like that kind of movie that would win that award, but alas, I do believe Soderbergh won director for that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I thought Ridley. I don't.
Crap! Now I gotta look it up.
I don't. No, I thought Ridley Scott won for. I thought Soderbergh won for something. Didn't he win for Traffic? He won for Traffic when Traffic. Oh wait, no, Traffic came out the same year.
That sounds about right. Yeah,
Traffic.
Soderbergh, as usual, being a busy guy.
He did too. He did Brockovich and Traffic the same year, right?
Same year, yeah.
And he won for Traffic, right?
Yes.
He won for Traffic?
Where is it? Nominated twice at the 73rd Academy Awards. He won the award for Traffic. So, yep, you were right.
Okay.
It was Traffic.
Okay, well then I because usually, okay, so what, like, real quick, the year that Saving Private Ryan came out, it usually led up to Best Picture and Best Director were hand in hand, and then when Shakespeare in Love won Best Picture, won Best Picture, and Spielberg won Best Director, then it was like all bets were off, because then they did it quite a bit. I know the year that Gravity came out, it won Best Director. Alfonso Cuarón won that, but didn't win Best Picture. So it has a habit of happening more often. And I thought really the benchmark to that, I felt like, was the year that Spielberg won but lost Best Picture to Shakespeare in Love. Kind of crazy, but yeah. Soderbergh, man, what a year.
Yeah, and he's still going. Like, he's released 2 movies this year alone, and it's just about May, or it is exactly May
And they're
as
both
we're
good.
dropping this. So, year's not even a halfway through, and he's dropped 2 movies. Like, the man gets them done. But
Yeah.
well, Aaron Brockovich, Final Destination, and Romeo Must Die is upcoming in a couple weeks' time.
It's gonna be big.
But as far as this channel goes, the road to Mission Impossible Final Reckoning kicks off. Got a lot of other fun stuff coming up, so stay tuned for all of that. Next Friday, though, we will be returning to the horror movie Iceberg, and we will be concluding our series, or concluding the franchise review of the Paranormal Activity series. We'll be taking a look at the Ghost Dimension, and the one that is technically Paranormal Activity, but also kind of doesn't really fit. It's weird, but it's called Next of Kin. So stay tuned for that. But for Russell, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.